Just proceed with my good friend Santosh Paul. He'll be speaking on Christians and the Constituent Assembly. Santosh Paul is a senior advocate designated by the Supreme Court of India. He has argued several important constitutional issues, including the landmark case against NJSC to protect independence of the judiciary before the Supreme Court. He's a vocal advocate for India's constitutional values. Advocate Paul writes extensively on constitutional issues. He is a much published author, and his books are Choosing Hammurabi, Debates on Judicial Appointments, Appointing Our Judges, Forging Independence and Accountability. The third book is on the Maoist movement, Perspectives and Counter Perspectives. He's on the forefront of minority rights. Over to you, Santosh.
Good evening, my dear friends. It's a great honor to speak to you on this very important day for India, which is the Republic Day. It is the day on which the Constitution of India was adopted, and the date was 26th January 1950, establishing India as a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. The Constituent Assembly, which was assigned with the task of making this constitution, had members from across India and across communities and across religions. Out of the 300 odd members of the Constituent Assembly, the Christian contribution was small but significant. And the contribution to India's constitution making is not just the members of the Constituent Assembly alone, but how those ideas were made to percolate into the political and social landscape of India through Christian institutions. Before I deal with that aspect of the Constitution, I want to now bring out the names of the persons whom we should not forget, who were Christians, who contributed their thoughts and ideas in the making of our Constitution. The first and the foremost is Mr. Harendra Kumar Mukherjee. He is a prominent Bengali Christian, converted from a Brahmin family in Bengal. He served as the Vice President of the Constituent Assembly as well as chaired the Minorities and Subcommittee. Now, he represented the Christian community. He helped shape provisions regarding minority rights, religious freedoms, and safeguards. Then we have the prominent and very well-known figure, Frank Anthony, as an Anglo-Indian Christian leader, educationist. He represented the Anglo-Indian community. He participated in the debates in large measure, including on national language, minority safeguards, and right to education. We also have Joseph Alban D'Souza. He represented Indian Christians, often alongside Mukherjee as a representative for the community. He was from the Bombay province. We have Jerome D'Souza, who incidentally was a Jesuit priest and an educator from the Madras province, and he was a well-known member of the Indian Christian intellectual circle. His contributions have been significant as well. One of the lesser known, but probably one of the most significant contributions came from John Mathai, an economist and statesman from the United Province. He came from the Syrian Christian community in Kerala. A great economist, contributed extensively on the economic debates, especially articles like Article 264 of the Constitution. And all those provisions which you see relating to taxation and the fiscal policy embedded into the Constitution is in large measure of John Mathai. Incidentally, John Mathai's son Ravi Mathai formed the IIM Ahmedabad, and his nephew was Varghese Kurian. We also have Boniface Lakra from Bihar, who was also a member of the Constituent Assembly who helped shape our Constitution. Another well-known figure, but that she had a Christian background is unknown, was Rajkumari Amrit Kaur. She was a freedom fighter, close associate of Mahatma Gandhi, was India's first health minister. She was born into a family which was converted. Her father had converted to Christianity. She was educated in Oxford, and she represented the Christian community in large measure in the Constituent Assembly. Now, the Assembly had, as I said, a significant but small number of Christians, and they had notable roles to play in making India a secular country, embedded minority protections into the fundamental rights, involved the subsequent introduction of directive principles of state policy to ensure that the Constitution is just not a Bill of Rights, but is a document of socio-economic change as well. Now, we come to the secondary contribution of the community in the making of the Constitution. Most of India's freedom struggle leaders, either they had Christian education by way of having studied in missionary schools, colleges, and thereafter studied in institutions, especially in England, which provided the exposure to Western liberal thought. That, in large measure, is a Christian contribution, and one of the foremost minds which comes to our consciousness is Dr. Ambedkar. Ambedkar's contribution is indelible, and his influence on the thought process of the making of the Constitution will remain with us for a long, long time to come, as the cliched phrase goes, till the memory fades. Now, his ideas of shaping the Constitution as a social document can be attributed to Western liberal thought, including especially the Irish Constitution, which introduced the directive principles of state policy. We have, of course, the inimitable Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, who incidentally didn't study here much. He studied in Harrow, thereafter took a science tripos at Trinity College, Cambridge. Now, he was a man who was deeply influenced by the Enlightenment and the liberal thought processes in the Western Hemisphere. And this, which he inculcated from Western institutions, helped in large measure shape India as a modern democracy. So there is an indirect contribution by St. Stephen's College, Madras Christian College, Scottish Church colleges, and various schools and colleges which helped shape a generation of Indians to involve them with progressive ideas, and who subsequently joined the independence movement and have been instrumental in policy making and the shaping of our Constitution over the years, including as of today. Now, there is one particular idea which has emanated, in my opinion, in large measure from a Christian thought process. The idea of a secular democracy is not a negation of religion, but of separation of the church and the state. And that can be found in Matthew 22:21. Render therefore unto Caesar things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. This thought is in the Constitution is vastly different from many secular constitutions which treats to eliminate religion altogether. But here is a thought process whereby religion coexists with a secular government. Now, we come to the idea of equality and non-discrimination. It echoes biblical ideas of being equal to God, and it is an idea which is reinforced not only in Christianity, but in many religions across the globe as well. Now, freedom of religion is something which was canvassed by, as I indicated, many of our Constituent Assembly members who saw to it that not only freedom of religion exists, but there are rights created for minorities as well as minority institutions. And what is very important, a Christian thought process, again, which is not entirely owed to Christianity, but other religions as well, that is social justice and upliftment of the marginalized. It is the fulcrum of our directive principles, the reservation policy, the caring for the poor, the widows, the orphans, the oppressed, is embedded in our Constitution. Thus, this idea of a Constitution, the Christian community's contribution to the making of it, facilitating it, and seeing it go into the future, has to be remembered from the lens of the institutions which created the people who made our Constitution and who dominated and continues to dominate our political sphere. It is these institutions which gave people who studied in them exposure to the great thinkers of the Enlightenment, John Locke, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Montesquieu on separation of powers, John Stuart Mill, and all these influences coalesce into one brilliant constitution. And let me tell you why this constitution I consider is extremely unique. See, there was a study conducted by Professor Ginsburg in the United States, and he said the average life of a constitution is 17 years. If you look at the entire post-colonial world and the democracies they sought to set up, you will find constitutions have been torn to shreds, time and time again. For instance, Sri Lanka is on the 5th constitution, Pakistan is on the 3rd constitution, and the roll call of destruction of constitutions is all over the post-colonial world. And here is one constitution which has lasted us for 75 years and more. And that is a very significant characteristic and a plus point for this particular constitution, which has been shaped by some of the most eminent minds in this country. And in significant measure, we should be proud as Christians to say was a contribution of the Christian community as well. Thank you so much for listening, and let's hope we carry on the spirit of the Constitution for all times to come.
Thank you, Santosh, for the very comprehensive overview of the contributions of Christians and other key Constituent Assembly members in the Constitution.